in some ways it feels like they're afraid to, or they just don't have anything to say. And there's no like nice way to word that. There's no way I can like be like, oh, maybe there's this, like, no. I just think a lot of the people with a platform right now don't really have anything to say. Usually when things are liberalized within the media, this happens, but like it's been individualized, right? It's like, look, man, if all of you guys come together as individuals and make a change within you and see beyond a black face, maybe we can make some changes, and that's the end of the movie. And it's like, look, man, that's not helpful. That's not doing anything for anybody. Like, no one's talking about defunding the police. No one's talking about abolishing the police. No one's like trying to make a point about look, I'm not saying every movie has to be sorry to bother you, burn the system to the ground, but like, it's clear to me that the public I don't think the public hates black political content. So much of the Boondocks is political. So much of its identity is political. Dare I say, an overwhelming majority of those comic strips are political, for better or worse. So much of the show is political, for better or worse. Regardless of what people on the far right regardless of people on the far right, I'm gonna be quiet, say about the show. The show was always very political, and it was always from a very strongly left-wing lens. I'm not even gonna say that, it's not in your face, and that's why we like it so much. So like, no, sometimes the Boondocks is very, especially that first season, every episode is so in your face. Trial of R. Kelly ends with Huey giving a big fat speech at the end of the episode. The Itis, Huey gives a big fat speech at the end of the episode. Passion of Reverend Ruckers ends with Huey crying to a song for 3 minutes. That's not funny. That's not funny at all. What's so funny about Huey crying to "Don't Cry Over Happiness, Say I Believe It" for 3 minutes straight on screen? That's not funny. Like, it's not fun. What's so funny about Huey getting a headbutt to the nose and falling down dramatically in slow motion? It's not funny. Well, maybe it's a bit funny. Maybe it's a bit funny to me, but I'm not a good person. But like, those aren't funny things, right? So it's much less like what, the subject matter, and more it's how it's being addressed. And I guess like my only criticism of the recent surge in black political media is that it feels a lot less like it's someone that was inspired to say something. Even Jordan Peele, people champion. I don't even like Get Out like that, but people really love Get Out. Like, and it's clear to me, once again, unless this is just a weird idolization complex of black influencers and entertainers, right? It's much less that people are sick of, oh man, I just hate black political content. Because that's the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing that can happen is everyone says we hate politics, we hate black politics, and then we all throw it in the bin. Because ultimately art reflects culture, right? One. And two, like, the worst thing that can happen is everybody says, oh, we hate politics, we hate black politics, we hate all of it, and we throw it all in the bin. And then suddenly, like, we reach a point where any form of black political commentary is demonized, and we're just like, oh no, we're not trying to hear it. No, we need more positivity in the black community. But when even Aaron has gone on record saying that's bullshit, right? Like, I'm pretty sure in the commentaries, like, they're on record saying like, yo, like, pushing for soul positivity makes absolutely no sense, because not everything about the black community is positive.
But what fucks people up is that, we got Huey in the show that's like the most pro-radical.
Which means black. We all must think like that.
Yes.
We all are Huey.
Yeah. And if each character is supposed to represent a certain faction of the community, all of those are supposed to be positive in the minds of many people. But everything in the black community isn't positive.
Exactly.
I wish it was. Yeah. I wish it was.
And I agree with that. While I think that, doubling down on the negative aspects of it has its own issues, I think in the same breath, the inverse, doubling down on only the quote-unquote positivity of the black community, it leaves you blind to the issues that are going on, and you'll be rightfully called out for it. And so I'm glad that there's been this like pushback. There's been a pushback against, like, it's very clear that this piece of media didn't have anything to say about like black political discourse or what have you. And while the art is reflecting the culture, as all art does, it's not saying anything, right? And I'm glad that there is that pushback, but the pushback shouldn't be so strong that we're saying, I'm trying to see none of it. I think all of it is inherently bad and inherently flawed, and we're not trying to see any of it. And to me, it should be a lot more, okay, I'm not trying to see you make this and have it be bad, or I'm not trying to see you make this and have it be bad and not say anything interesting or not say the right thing. Because if all you're going to say is black people are getting shot, we dying, end of the movie, then don't make the movie. Because sometimes it feels like these movies are made for white consumption as opposed to anything else or saying anything profound. Because again, I have to make this point. Not all these forms of black political media, we don't hate all of them inherently. I think it's very clear that people don't. I don't understand why people pretend like they hate all forms of black political media, and we still out here waiting for Boondocks' reboot, and we still out here waiting for Atlanta, still out here waiting for Chappelle Show, we still out here waiting for albums from artists, right? We start out here waiting for the answers from entertainers and influencers. Regardless of what I think of the idolization complex there, look, we can throw that in the bin for a second. It's clear that the issue isn't inherently the art form, and it's a lot more how the art is being created and the messages behind the art and, you know, the production behind it. So I think, like, above all else, I'm just trying to see if there is more black political content. I don't want it to be phased out of existence, and a lot more, I want to see it be inventive and say something new. I want to see it take a bold stance on these issues. Don't just be wishy-washy for an hour and a half and then be like, yeah, and the change is within you, and then point at the screen and fade to black. No. Point out these systemic issues, defund the police, abolish them, do what you need to do. Like, and it's hard. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's hard. Judas and the Black Messiah, I haven't seen it, but like, I imagine there wasn't a whole lot about socialist issues or what have you. I'm pretty sure that was downplayed. I'm pretty sure they weren't talking about that with Fred Hampton. At least not that much. I haven't seen it, but it's probably true. So, like, again, we go back to this point. But it's not about the politics inherently. And there's a lot more, what do you have to say? And how are you going about presenting that message? You know? And is it being done tastefully? Or is it clear that this is still just being done for profit? And that's kind of my main thing, because art reflects culture, and I don't want to reach a point where, like, politics has been thrown out of art inherently for no real reason whatsoever, when it eliminates a subsection of what art personifies, which is the culture and where the conversation currently is. I just want to see interesting commentary. That's the main point. That's all I really have to say. I'm not going to waste too much of your time. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Peace.
As long as it's beats and breaks, we gon' say whatever it takes, nigga, whatever it takes. I'm going for my shot at this game called hip-hop. As long as it's beats and breaks, we gon' do whatever it takes, nigga, whatever it takes. Damn, the motherfuckers killing the music, dog. Hey, yo, they killing the music. Yeah, hey, yo, they killing the music. Vito, where you at? Yo, they killing the music. It's 13. Chapter 13, baby.